Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Been waiting a while to say this. Soccer Saturday is back. What an incredible summer it's been. Football came home. Bazball thrilled cricket fans. The Commonwealth Games are in full swing. And Gemma Owen lost Love Island. But now the important business has returned. Welcome to Hollywood Balls. Okay, it's me, Geordie Pete Redding on Soccer Saturday, Hollywood Balls. Welcome, everyone's flying in through the turnstiles. Someone who's not flying in so far is Martin Allen. Believe he's either stuck on the M1 or he can't get his Wi-Fi on. But what I do have is Cyprus's answer to George Clooney. George TFA is in the house, and Super Kevin Campbell. How are you, lads?
We're doing great, thank you. Doing great.
Thanks, Geordie Pete. We're good to be back, Pete. That's what I've got to say.
Good.
Good to be
Great
back.
to be back. James Graham's in the house. Victor's here. Charlampos, Samson, Raymond as well, and Christy. Ben Shield is in the house. He's getting ready to head up to St. James's Park today, along with Eddie Howe, who's just signed a brand new deal. It's all been going off. Ben spotted a helicopter over St. James's Park, and he's sure that James Maddison or Tino Werner's in it. Of course, half a Tyneside wishes it's back, it's football, and it's mad, and I love it. Straight in now. Before we do go any further, I wanted to say a big thank you, not just for the start of this season, but also for last season, to a young girl who absolutely works her socks off for TFA, but also for us at Hollywood Balls. George, you'll know our Fola from Nigeria. Great girl. And I know she said, please don't mention me. But she looks after all the prizes and does a big job. And for everyone in Nigeria, she's just started her own cake business, so get a hold of it. Drop her a text, get on there. She's doing cakes, pastries, snacks, and more. Sounds ideal to me pre-match. So,
Fola,
a massive,
that's right.
Yeah,
support Fola, definitely.
A massith thank you to her. Okay,
she's a very special person. She's absolutely wonderful.
She is wonderful, and great stuff to see her going so well. She was making mince pie yesterday, by the way. I was all over that. Anyway.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Kev's sitting up there. He's sitting there. His job's done. He's got his smoking jacket on for the weekend. He can rest. He's got 3 points in the bag. Yeah. And as George said to me, Kev, the Arsenal looked the business last night.
Yeah, you know, Pete, it's what's quite funny is a year previous, this would have been the day after Brentford, where it all looked to be falling all over the place. It's amazing what a year can do. You know, you got to give credit. You know, we spoke off air. George was quite right. The owners don't tend to get much love or much credit, but they have backed the manager. They've put the money where the mouth is. This is the second transfer window that they've really said go for it, and they've brought bringing Jesus in, Zinchenko. You look at those players. Those players they're winners, and they do make a difference to this Arsenal team. Great win at a very difficult place to go, which is Crystal Palace under Patrick Vieira. So, do you know what, Pete? I'm buzzing. I'm happy for the weekend now.
Good man. Everyone's flying in, so I've got to say my highs because it is the first day of the season. Ryan's here. Ryan Lomax, good to have you in, bud. He's getting ready to go to Goodison early. He's going to set his blue flares off. You'll get a 3-day ban for that, mate. Baba Tunde's back in the house as well. Good to see you back. It does feel like it's been a long summer. But before we go any further, George, there is no baller of the week because there's 11 ballers that played at Wembley just recently. Yeah. And boy, do they deserve that, the Lionesses. What a game.
Pete.
Here we go.
The whole squad are ballers.
Yep.
It's a squad
thing.
Good point. The coach, everybody connected are ballers of the week. Absolutely. What a phenomenon. I don't want to cut across you, George, but I just wanted to incorporate everybody, because so many people have done so well for them.
Good point. Great.
We spoke last season a lot about the women's game and how much we follow it now and how much more people following it, and we get excited by games. My household was no different to anybody else's. All my kids, my wife, and she doesn't watch a lot of football, right? We were all over it, and it was just so exciting. I mean, I felt bad for Germany a little bit because Pop was injured in the warm-up. You never want to see that in a big final, really, but it happens, right?
That's where it ended for me.
Yeah, but the women, they were fantastic, and it was obviously nail-biting. But when we got that second goal, oh my God, it was crazy. It was party time, right? And it takes 4 years to get to the final whistle, doesn't it? When you're 2-1 up.
Yeah, it does.
But it was great for the game, great for the women's game. The attendance is already, tickets are being sold for next season's games already for England's women's team. It's going to do wonders for the game. It will bring more investment to the women's game. It's just fabulous, just fantastic.
Absolutely brilliant. I've got to say, Kev, as a pro as well, how amazing was it? Those are last 11 minutes. And Gary Neville made a really good point this week. He said he didn't think a top side or a top England men's side could close the game out like the England women did. That last 11 minutes down in the corner flag was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Well, Pete, do you know what? The way they utilized the right-hand corner was amazing. I think they took 6 minutes or whatever off the clock just being in that corner. But do you know what, Pete? I thought extra time, England really played well. They really dictated the pace because Germany were lively. Germany looked real dangerous in especially the second half. Equalized, and then it looked like it was going to be one-way traffic. But fair play to the ladies, the Lionesses. They got the job done, and they made us all so proud. To be honest, they went one better than the men's could do. The men got to the final and lost on penalties, unfortunately. But the Lionesses brought it home. And you know what? I think there's still a feel-good factor in football because they've done that. Great to see
100%.
some of the women. Great to see some of the women get their flowers and get the props, because you know what? It's made some stars of them. Beth Mead and Russo and Kelly and all these ladies. They're stars. They're stars. So, and they're gonna get the necessary love from the population. It's great.
It was fabulous. I mean, a shout out to the manager. She was fantastic. There was one game in the tournament where I felt England just got over a big hump for them. They were a bit nervous in a game. They scored a goal. I think it was a Sweden game because Sweden's very good. We beat them 4-0. Once England scored the first goal, you saw them relax. Not relax, but they played uninhibited. And from there on in, I said to one of my boys, I said, England's going to win it. It was that goal, the first goal in the Sweden game, that it just seemed to give them confidence.
Yeah.
And were fabulous. Just fabulous.
Absolutely. Paul's in. Good to see you, Paul. It's been a while since we had a chat. He's a big Arsenal fan, I know.
Come on,
he said
Paul.
He's praying for consistency. Praying for consistency.
Yeah. Well, I've been praying for that for 15 years.
Listen, we've been glued all summer to that TV station with the yellow ticker that runs along the bottom. Absolutely brilliant coverage of the transfer window. So before we preview the games, because I haven't seen you boys for so long, we'll come to you first, George. Are you happy with what's gone on down the lane, where you've reinforced, and looking forward to the season ahead?
Yeah, very happy. In a state of shock, really. I can't remember the last time Spurs bought players so early in the transfer window. I probably had hair the last time we did that. So we're very excited, and it's the profile of players is different in so much that we normally buy younger players, if you like. We're buying experienced players. I don't think we're done. I think Spurs will buy one or two more. The squad is looking much better. We're very excited. You know, the Richarlisons of this world, Perisic, you know, I know he's 34, but he's in great shape. Bissouma, very exciting, very happy. There's a different air about Spurs now. Again, I will recognise Daniel Levy. I think it's fair to say that because I've given him
plenty of stick,
over the years. But you know, he's invested in Conte, and it may be just timing, right? They've got revenue coming in, the stadium's running, they've got concerts, they earn £1 or £2 million for every concert. Now they've got Conte. Maybe he believes in Conte more than any other manager. You know,
they've got a cheese room as well, George.
I'm sorry?
They've got a cheese room at White Hart Lane. I found that out in the summer.
But it's a culmination of events. But it just feels good that Spurs are going for it. You know, it's a wonderful feeling, and the excitement is second to none. I'll tell you that.
Welcome back, Taiwo. Welcome back, Butter Boy. Welcome back, Ronnie, of course, as well. Good to have you all in the house. Great to have old friends back in ahead of the new season. Kev, I said it in our promo, by the way, which went down very well. Me questioning you and giving you a few questions about Arsenal and Spurs and Newcastle. Would you finish above the two? We'll get on to that. Jesus, what a signing he's going to be, by the way. And again, something that I'd forgotten about, but him and Arteta go way back, don't they?
Yes, they do. And I think that was one of the reasons why Jesus decided to join Arsenal. There were other Champions League teams in for him, but I think the link up with Arteta, he's worked with him before, understands what's required. And you know what? I think the gap in Arsenal's team needed somebody to come in and grab the number 9 shirt.
Yeah,
he's the main man. You could see it. I mean, his all-round game is just awesome. You probably didn't get to see the best of him at Manchester City, but everyone's going to get to see the best of him at Arsenal. So fair play to Mikel Arteta and fair play to Jesus for coming.
The thing, Kevin, if you read about this and if you have any insights, please share it. One of the things that I found fascinating about Jesus is that Arteta presented him with data that said, you're the player we need, based on physical, literal data that they collated from last season, from their performances, right? Mm-hmm. And yesterday, Jesus playing his first Premier League game for Arsenal. It was like he's been there for 3 seasons already, you know? It does feel like, at this early stage at least, it does feel like it's a really good fit. It's hand in glove type of thing, right? It just so natural, in fairness, right?
George, I think when you look at who Arsenal had up front over the last 18 months, you had Aubameyang and you had Lacazette. Jesus is a combination of both with extras because he can play wide, he can play striker, he can hunt space, he can hold the ball up. He's more of an all-round striker. And one thing he really does do, he presses defenses. He presses centre-backs. He doesn't give them a moment's peace.
Yeah, I mean...
And that's what we lacked.
Yeah, if I were a centre-back, I would much prefer to play against Lacazette or Aubameyang rather than Jesus. Jesus is always on at the defenders. He's sharp. He's on it. He's fit. He's fast. He's going to be a handful. I think there's some really impressive things going on. And if you're an Arsenal fan, which thankfully I'm not,
said from the heart,
you've got to be really excited. Seriously, it's exciting. So I think really is.
Looking forward to it. Someone else who's shopping like an ex with my credit card is Todd Bowley at Chelsea. Now you fit into 2 camps here, Kev, and I'm going to come to you first because I can understand the excitement of Chelsea fans, but I do take on board what Gary Neville says is that he's just gone at it scattergun. Which sort of camp do you fit in? I mean, I watched Thomas Tuchel and he looked over the moon.
Yeah. Listen, Pete, let me just tell you this. After taking over ownership from Roman Abramovich, you have got statements to make. Yeah. No messing around. You have to make some statements because Chelsea have been used to going out there and doing their business because they had probably some of the deepest pockets. So when you're the latest owner, they tried to get Rafinha, they tried to get Jesus, they've missed on quite a few occasions. Got Sterling in, got Koulibaly in, Cucurella, that was proving to be difficult. Manchester City were hanging around. But you know what? Poli went, do you know what? Here's the money. We'll have him. And you have to make some statements. And now, you know, the Chelsea faithful seem to be happier because they've made some statement signings. And this is what the new owner has to do. Listen, I don't know how it's going to go, but you have to make a mark. And he's made his mark now.
Big time. Smooth Reviews is in the house, getting suited up to go down to the stadium. Good on you. Football is back. Collins is here. Thomason says it's been a minute. It's been more than that, hasn't it? It's been 10. It's good to be here again. It's good to have you. Chinan says here as well as Sean. Collins is here as well after a long time. Good to have Collins back. George, thoughts on Chelsea? Because they pointed the way to Newcastle. What I wanted to ask you was this. Newcastle fans going mad that they won't spend 60 million on Maddison, yet Chelsea are happy to shell out over 60 million on that fullback.
I think the situation at Chelsea is dynamic. Okay, to Kevin's point, for the longest time under Abramovich, they bought anybody they wanted, whenever they wanted, and they paid however much they wanted. I'm quite sure it's not quite the same now. The new owner has tried to make a statement. I think Cucurella for a total package of 62 million, I think that's crazy because great player, but he's only been a good player for one season so far, right? That's a brave statement. They've lost Rudiger. Some challenges up front. Lukaku, Timo Werner is going. It's a period of transition, it feels like, at Chelsea. So if I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm not as excited as if I'm an Arsenal fan today, or even a Spurs fan today.
Very good point, that.
So there's a lot to prove. I'm not saying they won't do it. I like TT, but TT's got an edge on him. He showed that at his last job at PSG. And I'm just wondering if the balance is not quite as harmonious as Chelsea fans would want it to be, right? So I think it's very, very interesting. I think Chelsea buying the Villa boy, my heart is broken for Villa. No disrespect to Chelsea. You know, he's a Villa boy. Stay at your club as an 18-year-old. It's a heartbreak for the Villa fans. You know, I understand he's made a lot of money and good for him. You can't criticize that. But that's one aspect of football that hurts me, that breaks my heart, you know. Whichever club you belong to, a young player who doesn't sign for another 3 or 4 years, go when you're 23, 24. Give your club some more years. It's not Chelsea's fault. I think it's a very good buy for them.
I'll tell you what, George, let me just say this to you. That loyalty goes both ways. Football now is a real big business, as you know. And these youngsters, he's an England international, won the Europe Championships, didn't he? Very, very talented player. Now the club have to commit. The club have to commit to him. Yeah. But commit to him properly. This is the thing. Commit to him properly, not half-heartedly. And maybe, you know, if the club you're at commits to you half-heartedly, and then somebody else really wants to commit to you, what do you do? Just out of loyalty, stay there and not. So I think it's a difficult one.
It is difficult. I feel bad for the Villa fans, and I think to your point, Villa may have screwed up by not doing the right thing with the right amount. It's very analogous to when Sterling left Liverpool. Do you remember? I remember Jamie Carragher saying Sterling should stay at Liverpool. He should learn his trade more. He shouldn't go. Well, Man City paid the big money, and look how he was for City and improvement Sterling made. So,
well, look how many titles. Yeah, look how many trophies he's won. You know,
I'm not criticizing, far from it. I mean, I'd love him at Spurs. What a wonderful talent that boy is. He's fantastic. The point is, if you're a Villa fan, you're heartbroken, and you kind of feel let down by Villa themselves, right? They should have paid that money. or whatever it is, right? Because the game is short. I know it's a lot of money for people like me and the average person. It doesn't matter. In the bubble of football, you don't want to lose an 18-year-old England
talent.
He's a great talent. I'm telling you, he's a great talent. You know?
And do you know something, George and Pete? If you've got talented youngsters at your club and you think they've got a chance for the first team, you have to pay them.
Yeah,
you have to pay. You have to pay them. You have to make sure they know they have a future at your club. And unfortunately,
interesting on that, Kev, that Eddie's made Elliot Anderson part of the first team squad. He's not going out on loan because that boy, I watched him. And he's got a long way to go, but he makes George, I remember when we first started the show, and you used to say to me the sign of a good footballer was he could move the ball and have time on the ball. This kid has, so I'm glad he's a part of it, which brings me on, Kev, to Newcastle. Up against your old boys today, Forest. What a game that's going to be. I saw a picture, Mark Crossley, on my Facebook. Big Norm sent a photo. He took a selfie. He's on the supporters bus with the Forest lads today, Mark Crossley, on the way up. Great to have Forest back. Obviously not today, of course, because it's going to be jumping in the town. Let's get into the games. I mean, obviously we'll come back. Fulham and Liverpool kick us all off, but it's a special game for you today with Forest being up at the Toon, isn't it?
It is, Pete. It's 23 years in the wilderness, and do you know what? I was on Mr. Door on tour podcast on what was it, Thursday, and you know what, Pete? They are so buzzing to be back. But you know what? Everybody who was on the panel, Pete, because it was a Kevin Campbell takeover of his channel that day, I asked them all the questions, and they said they are here not just to make up the numbers. They're here to have a go at it. So it should be a hell of a game at St. James's Park today.
I'm sure they are. My question, George, to you is: with 12 new players, is it going to take? Hopefully, it will today. Is it going to take a bit of time for them to get to know each other and bed in, or are they just going to go straight off at it as a newly promoted side?
I mean, if I'm candidly very honest, I love the fact that Forest are back. You know, great name, the great times of Brian Clough, European Cup. I'm delighted. The most exciting development for me at Forest, if I could pick one, is the season-long loan of the keeper from Man U.
Henderson.
That has increased their chances of staying up significantly, in my opinion. Because if you're Forest, your goal really is to stay in the league for this season. And I think it was interesting. He felt mistreated at Manchester United. I mean, I would love him as Hugo Lloris's a successor at Spurs, to be honest. I think he's that good. I really think and I think Forest getting him free for a season is a great coup. They lost a very good keeper last season who was a great character. And I thought back, I think they got 10, 12 new players. It's going to take time to gel. But I was really encouraged for Forest by signing that player. You know, it has increased their chances significantly to stay up, in my opinion, right? But they need time, to your point, Pete. They got to gel. You can't have 12 players and just put them in the mix straight away, right? Jesse Lingard, they paid money for him. You never know. You never know. I love this game, man. It's just great.
They upset a few Hammers fans, I'll tell you, by getting Jesse.
I would love it if Forest stayed up. I would love it, honestly. And I think you just don't know. You just don't know. That goalie, I love him. He's great.
And also, Kev, look at their cup run last year. They took some big names out on the way.
Don't remind me, please. Don't remind me.
Well, there you go.
Which Northern team did they beat? Hold on. What was it?
No, here we go.
Woolwich.
Don't remind me. You two have been conspiring against me. Look, Forest's cup run last year was incredible. They deservedly turned us over at the City Ground. They beat Leicester, and they had a a hell of a tussle with Liverpool and probably should have beat Liverpool, if I'm honest with you. Thought Liverpool got a little bit lucky to beat them. But again, that's when you're not in the Premier League, and Premier League teams maybe change a bit to come and play you. Now they're going to get the full hit of all the Premier League teams because 3
week
points
in, week
will
out,
be at
Kev.
stage. Yeah, 3 points will be at stage. And you know what? I think they're in for a really tough goal at St James's Park today because Newcastle are a top team.
But
looking forward to that one. Go on.
If I just one thing I could refer to, I mean, I'm a big fan of Cooper, the coach. I'm a big. He's like to me, he's similar. Excuse me, to the boy at Brighton. He's got that kind of charisma, the way he plays, the way he turned around Forest in almost no time is really meaningful. Yeah. And I think he's got a long career as a successful manager, and I wish him well too for Forest. It would be wonderful if Forest stayed up. I think they do have a chance. Everybody's writing them off. I'm not willing to write them off. He's made some good buys. He bought the forward also from Germany, right?
Germany, yeah.
I can't wait.
They call him the nickname T-Dog. T-Dog, they call him T-Dog.
Yeah. I hope he's T Puppy this afternoon. Listen, there's
so
many of you. So many of you in the house today, which is great. Amali's in as well as Ronnie, which we've said hi to. Thomason's back and Paul. Listen, guys, as you know, we are going to give you the WTFC away. So all you have to do is let us know after the show that you've been here. Fowler's in charge of that. So please don't message me afterwards because I'm not in charge. Fowler is. And if you want to take her on, you're a better man than me or woman. Okay. I wanted to ask you, let's get it out the way. Thomason's asking, Super Kev, will Ronaldo be staying? But before you answer that, I want to ask you this. Who's sick of hearing about Ronaldo more, Kevin Campbell or Ten Hag?
It's probably me at the moment because you know what? I live in Manchester and it's on the tongue of every Man United fan, about Ronaldo. Ronaldo's, as far as I'm concerned, Ronaldo's going nowhere. Does he start? Nowhere.
Does he start?
No, not at the moment. Not at the moment because he missed quite a bit of preseason. But what a player to come off the bench when you're tired and you got him coming off. He will play his games. He will be okay. And I don't see him leaving Manchester United. One of the points is no one could afford him. He's that expensive, Pete. So
do you think that's backfired on him? Do you think that him and his team thought he would get out of Manchester?
Yeah, I do. I think him and his representatives probably thought, we could make a move. Probably somebody spoke to them and said, look, we'll have you, if you can get away. But Manchester United have dug their heels in. And, if you're contracted to a club and the club turn around and say, you ain't going anywhere, that means you ain't going anywhere, Pete, no matter who you speak to.
I mean, it's been pretty clear he's been conspiring to leave. And the reason he wants to leave, it's not he loves Manchester United because he's in the twilight of his career and he wants Champions League football, right? I think there was something to the story with Atletico Madrid, but it was along the lines of if you mutually cancel your contract by agreement with Man United, we can afford you. And Man United quite rightly said, on your bike, that ain't happening. You're contracted to us. We pay you a boatload of money. Be professional and just stick to it. Who am I to say this? But I do find that Ronaldo pre-season has been a little bit unprofessional, right?
Yeah.
Which totally is a surprise, isn't it? It's a surprise.
Yeah, it is. You have to respect your contract. You have to respect your club. Most importantly, you have to respect your fans, right?
And your teammates.
Yeah, you can't, be more elegant about it, right? It feels as though he's really angled for his contract to be terminated so he can move on to play Champions League football. It's as clear as day to me. I want him to put that behind him and focus on Man U, so the fans of Man U can get the benefit of the great Cristiano Ronaldo, right?
And the Premier League is a better place with him in it.
I agree.
Okay, just for the questions that are coming in, to get your WTFC, you need to message the Hollywood Balls Facebook page. Don't just message it. It's facebook.com and it's at Geordie Pete Show. You can get it on there. Fowler has all the informations. We're going to be going down under in a couple of minutes because Geordie Dave Huggan is in the house. He's unbeaten. I think it's probably safe to say, Kev, whatever we throw at him, he's going to go unbeaten, the memory man. But I mean, Barry and Shorty T bombarded him last time out.
Hammered him, and he was just picking them off. He was just picking them from anywhere. It was unbelievable.
So much to get through, and we'll come to Dave in a couple of minutes. But there is a game that starts straight after this one, and it's a welcome back, Kev, to the big time for Fulham. They seem quietly confident. We had the lovely girl, Georgie, and I from the Fulhamish pod on a show. She was absolutely superb. They're going about their business. Big shout out, by the way, to the Magic Mod, the Fulham fan. If you haven't seen him on Twitter, have a look. Absolutely fantastic. He does a magician, card tricks. Great Fulham lad. Great banter. He's down there today as well. Kev, it's a dream start for the day.
Does he play up front? Because they're going to need him. I tell you. They're going to need him.
Him and Mitro, it's a toss-up who sees more cards, Magic Mod or Mitro.
Jeez.
It's going to be a struggle, isn't it? Especially today.
Yeah, it's welcome back to the big time, isn't it? When you're playing Liverpool. Probably the best thing for them is they're at home. But that could be a curse as well, because that means you're going to attack. And you know what Liverpool are like on the counter-attack. I'd love to see Fulham give it a right goal this season. I think they're a good side. They've been up and they've been yo-yoing for years, and this might just be the time where they get a foothold and stay in the league. I'm sure they're going to want to really stay in the league and do better than just staying in. But any team who comes up, the key is just to stay in the league. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Kyoke says he's missed Dave's history lessons. I think we all have, so we'll bring him in there. Down under. Dave, how are you?
Hello, good, thanks, Pete. How are you?
Very well. A day at the beach, I believe.
Yes, yeah. Even though it's still winter, we were at the beach today with the boys. Yeah. Hi, George. Hi, Kev.
Hi. Thanks, Dave. Thank you. Cheers.
You again, as always.
Okay, good stuff. Listen, so we're staying, George. It's a tough ask today for Fulham, as it's going to be through the season. Another tough one I wanted to say, and I'll come to you first, George, and then I'll come back to Kev. The late game today is Everton-Chelsea, and we haven't had a chance to mention Everton yet. Whisper it quietly, but it hasn't been their best pre-season either, has it?
It hasn't, although day before yesterday, I heard they were. Last night, I read somewhere it's 100% done. They bought the player that was going to go to another Premier, West Ham. That's right.
No.
And they snatched him. Now, I'll tell you, he's a super player. Okay. And he's the type of player they need in the middle of the park, Everton. He can be transformational for Everton. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to say Everton are going to win anything or finish in the top six. But they could stabilise Everton, because after last season, they need some stability to breathe comfortably this season and build. He is a great player. I was so surprised they got him. They must be paying him a fortune, Kev, right?
Well, they had to do something to gazump West Ham, didn't they? Because it looked like he was in the West Ham bag. Yeah. And Everton made some moves and obviously got him. So I think maybe the payment terms are better as well. You know, things like that make the club go, oh, I'll go with your one then, if the payment terms are better. But Everton needed to make moves, George, you're right. Obviously with Dominic Calvert-Lewin going down, they're going to need another striker in at some stage. But, this game is going to be interesting what Frank Lampard does. But the record, Everton's record at Goodison over Chelsea has been pretty good of late. So
I feel sorry for Everton fans, though. But, the ones who remember the 80s and 90s, to go and watch that team now and hardly see a shot on target. What are you paying for? What are you paying your money for?
Blue flares.
Yeah.
Hey, the Blue Flares helped. Don't worry about that.
Kept them up. Kept them
The
up.
Blue Flares helped. Yeah.
I think it's also of note to share that they bought 2 boys from Burnley. And they have a lot of experience in the Premier League. Tarkowski at the back is a very good player. I think it's a great guy. And I think that boy has got a super left foot.
McNeil, good player.
Super left foot. And I think that those are kind of players to help them just nudge along. I don't think they're world beaters, but I do think they're good enough with good seasoned experience in the Premier League to move them forward. That's what they need now, right? They can't mess with relegation like they did last season. That'd be a disaster.
True.
It would. Okay, Kev. So we've got Dave in the house. For anyone that hasn't met Dave, a good school friend of mine. I'm not going to give our age away. We used to go to school together about 5 or 10 years ago. And Dave's in Australia, and he has this amazing habit of memory recall for things he likes, of course, not for like daily chores that his wife asks him to do or anything like that. It's only ex-girlfriends and football, FA Cup and World Cup. So we're going to test him. Each guest that comes on will. Sadly, Martin hasn't made it. So, Kev, it falls to you.
I get Martin's goal.
You get Martin's job to give Dave a year and tell us who won the FA Cup in this year. This is quite phenomenal. So off you go, Kev.
All right, Dave. It's way back, and I'm going 1933.
1933. Well, that was Everton 3, Manchester City 0.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It was the first FA Cup final where they had numbers on the back of the shirts.
That's right.
And the first ever number 9 was Dixie Dean, fittingly.
That's right. Everton. That's right.
I reckon, Kev, if we asked Dave what were the names of their wives and where did they live, he could probably
brilliant.
Absolutely
brilliant. Dave, brilliant.
Love it.
Absolutely brilliant.
It's one of those games as well, which happens quite often where Man City lost that year, but they come back the following year to win. And they did win, and Frank Swift was in goal, and he said that he was listening to the photographers counting down the time when they were 2-1 up, and he actually fainted at the final whistle. Frank Swift.
Dave, listen, I'll be round in 20 minutes, and we'll go and get my lottery ticket for me tonight. Is that okay?
I only do the past. I don't do the future.
Brilliant stuff. Okay, Dave, stay on because we want you to get involved in the Hot Sauce Premier League Predictions Challenge. It's going to be transitional, Kev, because Kev and I have got some amazing news. There's lots of new things coming up on the show with the show as well, including this. It's going to be, George, we've only got and bought a scoreboard close season. So we're going to have a scoreboard that's going to keep charge of all of the scores when we move into our new house on the platform. So all exciting. But for now, we're going to go traditional. So we're going to keep Dave in. We've had so many entries on the Facebook page today. I've put as many in as I can. Barry's in, Barry from Sunderland. Andrew Burgess, big Everton fan. Andy Briggs, who Dave probably knows from Down Under as well. And Samantha Shepherd, our very own Hollywood Balls Lioness, is in the mix. Okay, Kev, we're going to start with you. Give us a score for Fulham Liverpool.
Pete, look, I don't want to be too harsh on Fulham, but I think it's going to be a very, very difficult one for them. I'm going to go Liverpool 4, Fulham 0.
Okay. Dave, what you got for us, Fulham Liverpool?
I think 3-1 to Liverpool, but I think Fulham might score first and give everyone a bit of a shock.
Give everyone a bit of a laugh first off. Yeah. Okay, George, what you got?
3-0 to Liverpool.
Okay, I've gone 2-0 to Liverpool. Barry in Sunderland has gone the same. Andrew Burgess has gone one better with 3-0 to the Reds. Andy Briggs has taken 2-1 to Liverpool. And Samantha has taken 1-0. Kev, Spurs, Southampton.
Yeah,
put in especially for you.
Yeah, listen up. Again, Spurs have done really well in the transfer market. Really strong squad. And I could see this being 3-1 Spurs.
Okay. Dave, what you got for us?
Well, last season it was a great game. It was 3-2 to Southampton, that game. But let's go the other way around this time, 3-2 to Spurs.
George?
Last season, Southampton were outstanding in that game. They deserved to win.
Yeah.
Today, I'm going to go for 2-0 for Spurs.
2-0 to Spurs. Okay, I've gone 3-1 to Spurs. Barry's taking the same as George, 2-0 to Spurs, as has Andrew Burgess. 2-1 for Andy, and Samantha's taken 2-0 as well to Spurs, a popular score. Super Kevin Campbell, Everton, Chelsea.
Everton usually have a really good game against Chelsea at Goodison Park.
Okay.
They need the 12th man involved, big time. But I think this one's going to end a draw, Pete. I think this one's going to end 1-1.
Okay, good shout. Dave, what you got for us?
2-0 Chelsea.
2-0 to Chelsea. George?
I've got the same as Kev. I've got 1-1.
Okay, interesting. I've gone same as Dave. I've got 2-0 to Chelsea, as has Barry. Andrew Burgess from the Gladys Street Edge got 1-0 to Everton. Good lad.
Go on,
Andy Briggs has got 4-0 to Chelsea, and Samantha's gone 2-0 to Chelsea. Super Kev, Man United with or without Ronaldo against Brighton.
Yeah, look, I think this is going to be quite a tight game, but I think United are just going to get over the line 2-1, Pete.
Okay, Dave?
Yeah, I agree. 1-0 United for that one.
1-0. George?
I've gone 2-1 like Kev for Man U.
Okay, so have I. I think that it'll be quite close. Let's see what happens. I've gone the same. Barry's gone 2-0 to Man United. Andrew's taken a 1-1 draw. 3-1 to Man United for Andy down under. And Samantha's taken a 0-0 draw, which is a possibility as well. Man, you don't look like goals to me. Watch them score 5 today. Okay, last up, Kev. Super Sunday. West Ham against Man City.
Great game. Finished 2s each last time out.
Great game, wasn't it?
Really good game. I think that it was Bowen who was the real difference maker, wasn't it? It was causing them all sorts of problems, scored 2 goals. I'm going to go West Ham 2, Man City 3 in this game.
Okay.
Away win.
Lots of goals. Dave, what you got for us?
Well, I said that Liverpool will win 3-1, so Man City tend to try and outdo Liverpool every weekend, don't they? So 4-1, I reckon, for that one.
Okay. George?
This was the most difficult one for me. I spent ages on this. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw.
Desmond. Okay. Interesting. I've got 3-1 to Man City. I think it'll be too strong. Barry's gone 2-1 to City, as has Andrew Burgess. Andy's taken 4-2. He's on the same streak as Kev. He thinks there'll be goals in it. Samantha's taken 3-1. It's just good to be back, isn't it? So the predictions are there. Kev, we've got something new to announce tomorrow. If you've got anything on your chest, Kev and I are at your disposal on a Sunday morning. We've got Hollywood Balls Rant and Rave. Literally just come on, because we can now buzz you into the show on the hollywoodballs.live platform. 11 a.m. UK and Nigeria. Just see what happens today. If there's any VAR decisions or your team pick, or they don't just turn up and you're really miffed with it, come on and have a moan with us tomorrow, because I know I'll be giving it big ones as well. So looking forward to that, Kev.
Oh, you moaners! I'm the referee. I can't wait to see you tomorrow.
So it's a 3-hour show, is it?
Yeah, it's on all day, George. It's on all day. Geez. It's on till 10 p.m.
Doesn't stop until people stop moaning. Yeah.
So listen, there's a couple of ground rules for it though. Kev, you're the adjudicator.
I'm the referee. I'm the adjudicator. Look, there's no bad language.
No,
you've got to keep it sensible as best you can. You could have your rant. I get that, but you know what? If you're getting a bit too hot, I'll kick you out. I'll take you out. You get a red card and you're out of there.
Listen, if anyone's ever experienced a Kevin Campbell elbow up at St James's Park or anywhere else in the Premier League for that matter, I can tell you it hurts.
Hold on.
So you don't you don't want any of that. But listen, come on tomorrow. Let's have it. It could be anything. It could be referees. Could be, the transport getting to the game. Whatever. It could be that your team didn't win the Women's African Nations. Whatever you want, come on and let's have it.
I could tell you what the first thing's probably going to be. VAR.
Of course it is.
And on that point, I got a question for you guys. What do you make of the development and the announcement that we're going to hear live the conversation between the referee and the guys on the bar?
It's not live. It's not live.
This happens.
It's not.
This happens in
It's
Australia.
After. It's after.
It happens live in Australia in rugby league. You hear.
Does it work?
But
you hear all the deliberations.
Yeah, but it won't be live. It will be. You'll be able to hear the conversation after, not live, George.
So
that's the problem.
Yeah. To Dave's observation, there are games where this stuff is live, like rugby down under, right?
Yeah.
And so I believe also in rugby union we have it here, right?
Interesting.
They say, to fix something, it needs sunlight, right? To damage something, you keep it in the dark. The more transparency, the better. So I think this is a good step forward, but to your point, Kev, it would be far better if it was live.
Just do it. Just do it properly.
You can do it. We can do it, right?
Interesting on that note. On that note, I have to say I'm going to end the show with this one. It could be your first rant tomorrow, but the PGMOL have now they've put some new rules together, which we'll all see this afternoon. But also in charge of the referee's fitness, are you ready? Is John Moss.
Pete, what are you trying to say, Pete?
I don't know. I'm just announcing what the PGMOL have announced, that John Moss is in charge of the referee's fitness.
To stop the other referees having any pies, John eats them all. You see.
Oh, jeez.
And
listen.
Yeah, and the routine involves 2 donuts before they get going, right?
Absolutely. George, it's been a pleasure having you on. Can't wait to see you again soon. Absolutely brilliant. Couldn't have been a better welcome back to our football and to Hollywood Balls to have George on. Brilliant to see you. Dave, as always, absolutely fantastic. The memory man himself. Kev, tomorrow, 11 a.m. Nigeria, UK, 2 p.m. UAE. Looking forward to a bit of ranting and raving after today. Whoever your team is, I hope it goes well. Get 3 points and have a really blessed Saturday.